you seek an exit? That's the main question. Is like, okay, what's your next exit? What are you doing towards exit? And in that beginning, I would hear that everywhere, and they would ask me, and I would feel so confused.
For founders, the advice never ends, so discernment becomes a valuable skill. Think of this show as practice. I'm Lindsay Chepkema, and this is Actually I Can. Good conversations about bad advice. Let's get into it.
Alina, I'm the co-founder and the co-CEO of Chili Piper, and we help marketing teams and GTM engineers and ops people get more pipeline with agents. I wanted to start a company that I would really love working in. That's how I didn't have like a grand vision like most entrepreneurs do. I just wanted to create an environment where myself and my husband would thrive. We like complex puzzles. We like working on fun things. We like working with fun people. And we wanted to do it on our own terms where we are remote, and everything about Chili Piper kind of fits what I wanted to work in as an employee. I wanted to see what like a different equation might look like.
First time I met you in person, I was a founder and you were up on stage, and I was like, her. I need to meet her, because I can't even remember what they were talking about, but everybody was like, yeah, agree. You were the only woman on stage, and you're like, actually, I don't. Like, and I was like, and it was something that you believed in, and it was something that aligned with your values. I think it was something about culture or like how to build a company, and I valued that so much, and that's part of why I wanted to have you here, not just because I love you and I've been following your journey, but also because you seem to lead and to live in such alignment with your values and your vision. And I think that a lot of founders want to do that and start off on their founder journey doing that. But then the world, someone somewhere, whether it's literal or figurative, starts to tell them that that's either not possible or that's not what success looks like. And you are showing your living proof with how you're leading and all that Chili Piper is now, that's not the case, that you can build a company that you want to be a part of that aligns with who you are and your values. And so I asked you about bad advice you've received, and you said all the advice you've received has been bad advice. So tell me what you chose to talk about today.
So first, I want to acknowledge that I believe that the most single important thing that we do as adults, as grown-ups, is to having the courage to be whomever it is that we want.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is because none of us is going to be perfect. We're all going to have the goods and the shadows that we need to kind of integrate. And everybody's going to have an opinion. So having the courage to be what we want is like so hard. It's so freaking hard. I'm a very unusual combination of skills in that I'm very technical. I love abundance. So I love making money for my shareholders and my employees. And I also love my family, and I love to lead from the heart. So this kind of combination is kind of rare. And people try to put me in a box.
Very rare. I'd say that's very rare. Yes.
They want to, it's like, she's a technical founder, but no, she's really a mom, but no, she's really like crushing it. But where can I put her? She just doesn't really, she doesn't. So all the time, people have been trying to tell me how I should be doing things and what I should be doing. And I followed none of it. And I think that because I followed none of it, I managed to find out on my own terms and with my own mistakes what I'm really meant to do and what really is my purpose. And my purpose is to show that you can build a company with both things. You can build a company that's successful, and you can also build it from the heart and with compassion and with joy. So it's a beautiful purpose. And that takes me to the bad advice that I receive, which is, why don't you seek an exit? Why don't you want to sell the company? It would be so amazing if you would get $3 billion or whatever. It's like,
so yeah.
And then do what?
Yeah. So amazing for who? Yeah. For someone else's definition of success, right?
Yeah. So that's the advice that I get. I get where it's coming from. I get why people ask me that. But it's not at all in my dream cards. No.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into that. Like, where have you heard it all along, or did it come at some certain milestone?
I really love creating community around CEOs. It just brings me a lot of joy. And I also learn a lot by surrounding myself with really smart people. And in these rooms, that's the main question, is like, okay, what's your next exit? What are you doing towards exit? What are the improvements that you're doing in the company towards an exit? And in that beginning, would hear that everywhere, and they would ask me, and I would feel so confused, because it implied that I hate my job so much that I want to sell it. And then I put myself into like the shoes of that kind of vision. Okay, I sell it. I get this amazing house on the beach, and I just sit there.
Cool.
Meant to sit. I cannot sit. I mean, I sometimes enjoy like the peace. I enjoy reading, but
Yeah.
I'm here to create. I love creation. I love the process of inventing new things,
Yeah.
and doing it in a different industry maybe. But marketing is fun, and it never ends. Like, it's always something new, and every day there's something new. So why would
Yeah.
I give up? Why would I give up?
Right. Yeah. So, okay, that actually, when you told me that that's what you wanted to dig into, I was like, yes, yes, because I had the same thing from day one. I mean, day one, the second I took venture funding, people wanted to know the exit strategy and like how we were going to exit, what exit looked like, exit, exit, exit. And then you go to like founder roundtables and you go to founder events. And truly, every step along the way, people are talking about, good founders have exit plans. And I wonder if you felt this way. Like, that's just not why I was in it. I was never in it for the exit. Maybe I should have been, but I was in it for what I was doing in the day to day, for the vision and for who we were serving and what I believed needed to exist in the world. And so do you think that it actually comes down to a fundamental difference of why you're in it versus why lots of other, like, stereotypically, I guess, founders are in it, and therefore why that question exists? Or what do you think the root of that actually is?
Comes from finally cracked it of why people emphasize that, and why I'm differently on that regard. So it comes from a good place. People take investments from VCs, and VCs, they do these investments because they want an upside on it and they want a multiple, and that's how they serve their shareholders, and
Makes
it makes
sense.
sense. There are ways in which the shareholders can get multiples provided that secondaries. So for those that are listening and have never heard of secondaries, is the ability to sell shares and options on the private market. You don't have to go public to get a return. You can still do that, and at a certain point, the public market is very receptive, and you can still have this kind of option for your employees and for your investors. So you can still give them an upside. You don't have to go public, and you don't have to sell to get to that point. So secondaries are available for that particular purpose, and that's something that's beautiful, and that's something that I'm working towards for my employees, and it did happen, and we made some employees millionaires, and some of our investors the same way. They got multiples on it. So that's a beautiful process, and it's still in the velvet, the companies, and it's still a critical part because we exist to give abundance to those around us, including our customers and everyone. Yet, um, even if you put this option on the table of the secondaries as a good option for an exit, the main reason why most CEOs prefer to exit, most of my CEO friends prefer to exit, is because they feel a lot of pressure and a lot of stress. And that's because of the way the system is created and the way they've imposed themselves as their job. So you get the greater the number of employees, the more the pressure, because everybody has an opinion on what you should be doing. Everybody is going to criticize every decision that's going to be made, and you're going to have to make some really hard decisions that people are going to be very mad at. So these days, I don't know if you just saw Block fired 4,000
Yeah.
employees out of 10,000
Today, yeah.
employees. I don't know why Jack Dorsey made that decision. He said it because if it's AI, God knows if it's the truth. Only him kind of has the answer to that question. Um, and these are the kind of a decision that make him hated. Like 4,000 people are going to hate him right now. They're gonna think that he's the most horrible person on the planet. So picking to be a CEO of a company has you being exposed to those things. And those things can be stressful if you don't have a very strong moral compass, if you don't have a really good process for making decisions, and if you don't have a good way to make decisions in which people around you are being included in them. My hope, and what I've been trying to create at Chili Piper, is to create a system where I'm not being the sole decision-making person on all these really hard decisions. It does happen, but it's very rare. it is possible to create a role for the CEO where it's not as stressful as it is, but it also takes a certain kind of person that feels comfortable in their skin and has worked enough on their shadows and other traumas, where when they're being criticized, they feel in alignment with their values, and they know that they made the best decision that they could at every moment. So I think it comes from many directions. Yeah.
Yeah. You literally said the exact words that I was going to ask next, which is, um, in order to make decisions that you can live with, honestly, and sleep at night, because there will be tough decisions, even with the best of intentions. Like, pandemics happen and crises happen, and things happen, mistakes happen. Um, you said you have to be in alignment with your values. And again, I think that that's seen quite often by founders and investors, and the whole founder ecosphere is soft. But like, that's how you survive, in my opinion. And how you scale decision making. If you're going to involve others in your decisions and or delegate decision making to others, there has to be alignment of values. Otherwise, decisions get made that you're not going to be able to sleep at night, that you're not going to be comfortable with, because they're not at all aligned with what you would do. Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you live and lead in alignment with your values?
Before I get into the value part and what helps me to get grounded in that, I wanted to add one other important component, which is currently the way our society is structured. We have this bias towards thinking that people who are in position of power are going to be destructive. And that's because of the examples that we see on TV and the examples that we see in other corporations. We see a certain type of persona at the top who appears to be accumulating wealth and hoarding wealth, and then takes destructive decisions. We see some examples of people that are extremely wealthy and that are not taking actions to help their ecosystem, or they're not be able to live within the community that they're being given. And because as a society, we keep voting for those kind of people to be at the top, and we keep working for those kind of companies that have these kind of leaders, we have a bias to think that that's how everybody looks like. So when you pick a position of a CEO, like I am, and you're in a position of power, I'm going to be stereotyped, and that's how I'm going to be perceived. So no matter what I do, even if I make a small mistake, I'm going to be perceived as that bad, horrible, wealthy person who makes really bad decisions and creates destruction for the environment. That's structure. That's something structurally that we have to live with, and that's something that's just part of the society as we are. I do think that there is a shift that could be made in that kind of structure if we were to help the people that are feel like victims to feel more empowered. And I think that if a lot of people are still have this scarcity mindset, and I know very well that scarcity mindset, and like shift it into abundance mindset. If we manage as a society to get those two addressed, I think that we'll be in a much better place, but also have the kind of leaders that we want to be like when we grow up. I don't have example. Like, I don't know who I want to be as I grow up. I wanted to be like Elon Musk, and then Elon Musk did whatever he did.
Right.
And it's like, no, I don't want to be like Elon Musk. So getting to answer your question, which is how to get in alignment with your values, is really difficult because I don't see them around me. I cannot emulate them. So I have to create my own path, and it requires a lot of tools and lots of work, lots of people around me who are allowing me to be who I am without trying to criticize me, without trying to take me down, who are not afraid of my success, who are celebrating my success. It's been a lot of work that I had to do to be able to become grounded in who I am and not allow the society to label me as this mean CEO that is wealthy and makes really bad decisions.
Who you surround yourself with is everything. I think that's also something that people don't talk about enough. Like, what does that look like for you?
I was a very different person a few years back, where I was extremely typical technical founder, very kind of on the spectrum, not looking people in the eye, not having community around me, not really having friends. And I felt at that time that I didn't need any of it. I didn't think it was necessary for me to be thriving.
Which is another thing that society tells us, especially as founders, that it's all relationships are a luxury. And yes. Yep.
I did not have a need of connection at all.
Yeah.
I was also extremely, I guess I could declare myself an atheist. Like I would be skeptical of spirituality and skeptical of all the things that didn't fit my. I don't want to label myself as, but lightly on the spectrum of autism. So I
Sure.
would not feel that I would want to explain things to myself very structurally, like from a scientific standpoint of view. And I didn't need that human connection. I didn't even like comprehend what it was. And it was very recently, 2023, I think. I went to communication course, 10 days, where I just learned how to communicate like a human because I was talking like a robot mostly, like with my computers and just executing on commands. And this communication training allowed me to be a lot more clear with my intention and be a lot more understanding of how others made decisions and how others communicated their own needs and their own desires. And for some reason, I don't really know how it's possible. I didn't think it was a reality. My team can confirm this. My husband can confirm this. I came out a completely different person. And I started getting outside of my way to organize a lot of dinners, a lot of events, just meeting people and trying to grasp how they operate and how they communicate. And the more people I met, the more I started to understand about myself what I really wanted from human connection. And in these dinners, I started meeting people that were like me. And it's like, where were you hiding before?
So funny. I love that. That's so great. Okay, so it's been intentional is what it sounds like building these relationships, and it's been pretty intentional and pretty recent?
Yes, very recent, very recent. And it gave
Interesting.
me so much more joy that I did not expect. I didn't even know that I needed it.
I absolutely felt this too, uh, in life, but I especially as a founder, I can honestly say, especially as a founder, there's such a a hustle and grind culture. Even if you resist it, even if you don't start there, to be like relationships are extra, they're fluffy, like human connection is, a nice to have. And it does make all the difference, not only in your mental health and in your culture of your company, but also in your I mean, going back to decision making, it's it matters. It absolutely does matter. Going back to the bad advice you received, that exits tend to be tempting because of the pressure, the pressure, the stress. And I think everybody knows that, but until you're in it, and I've never been in it at your level, like I can only imagine. Until you're in it, you just don't know. Which again is why having peer relationship matters, so that you have people in it with you who do know. But that said, the kind of pressure that you're under all the time, is it ever tempting to consider the house on the beach and the exit? And why do you think you've stayed the path anyway?
My mom tried to convince me at the beginning to just go in a cabin and write. And she said, you'd be so happy, you'd have a book, and the book would be amazing. Why wouldn't you just spend your time that way? Why would you put yourself through the pain? Because every day there's pain. And every time where there's that moment, it's like, another one of those arrows that come through. I think, well, if you can't do it, there's no one else who can do it. If there's no one else who can do it, the capitalism is going to still look the way it looked like when you started Chili Piper, where you hated it and everybody's going to hate it. If if you have tough skin and you can figure this out, then maybe you can teach others to do the same. So it's like I pull myself back. If you can't do it, there's no one else who can do it, and then I go and I solve the problem.
It's the commitment to the vision.
Yes.
So that said, leading in alignment with your values, relentless pursuit of the vision, what advice do you have for other founders who might be feeling the pull to find their exit, or even to just be pulled off course and be pulled away from their values or pulled away from their vision? What would you tell them?
With a lot of those entrepreneurs, I think it really depends. In some cases, I think that it's a good idea for them to go and do something different. Sometimes they're called by coaching, sometimes they're called by um, solving problems in a different systematic way as part of our foundation. There are many paths to everybody. I think that it only works, that they can only withstand the pressure if they can create a good system around them where it's not only on them to make the really hard decisions. and whether they create a good executive team kind of around them that they have a good relationship with, whether it's another group of CEOs that they feel really aligned with, that kind of helps them navigate. But assuming that they can do things alone, that's what I've observed that creates the most pain.
Don't try to go it alone.
Mm.
Got it. Well, I think that's good advice. So thank you for sharing it. And also, you shared with me that as we record this is your birthday. So happy birthday. Thank you for sharing it with me and with us. And I feel so special that you're here with me today. So thank you. And you're such an inspiration. That's such a bold, broad statement to make, but you really are. Like what you're building, the way you're building it, why you're building it, the heart and soul that goes into everything that you're doing, and the obvious you-ness of how you show up. Everything on from LinkedIn to at events, it's real and you can see it. So thank you for doing the hard thing and being yourself, because it is much easier said than done. So thank you, and thank you for being here. And happy birthday.
I can't imagine a more beautiful gift. I can't imagine a more beautiful gift.
Thanks for joining me for Actually I Can. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube so you never miss an episode. And look for me over on Substack, where I write for founders every week and actually go a lot deeper on some of these conversations to give you more information about how it all aligns to the Brave framework and the founder's journey. Remember, discernment is a valuable skill. Think of this show as practice. Go do something brave today. Thanks for joining me on Actually I Can. We'll see you next time.